Alright guys, today we're going to talk about some stuff that I want to do to the Murray over here. A lot of people are going to think that I'm going for a Fearlessfront build, because at the beginning I kind of was, but then I saw another YouTuber by the name of Redneck Computer Geek. I'll link him in the description. I watched his video, and the title of it was "The Truth About Fearlessfront and Mud Runs." And I am hot. I just did a failed attempt of cutting off part of a tree and pushing it out of the way because it decided to snap in the storm we had last night. But he talked about his experience with Fearlessfront, and I had started to wonder, why doesn't he have any more Fearlessfront mud running videos? Which, let me fix y'all. Oh, that was a little crunchy. And I started wondering, why don't you have any more Fearlessfront videos and mud runs? And I started wondering that, so I saw that video and I thought, well, maybe that'll explain. So I watched that video, and he kind of talks about how I'm not really picking sides here. I'm trying to stay neutral. I like both YouTubers. I like their ideas. I like their mowers. But I saw how on Fearlessfront's YouTube channel, he seems like he is a really nice guy. Well, in those videos, he seems like a really nice guy. He does really good jobs of the editing the videos compared to my standards for editing. His are a lot higher, and he just puts out a lot better pieces than I do. And I watched Redneck Computer Geek's video, and it looked like Fearlessfront was, I guess you could say, milking all the other YouTubers. Which, that sounds kind of bad, but let me explain. He would invite them over to have a mud romp, some kind of romp, go trail ride and stuff like that. And he would invite all these different people. I'll try to link them all in the description, but you've got the Mud King, Redneck Computer Geek, Lapavoni Mac, Mower Outlaw. I think the other guy was Lucky7. He lives somewhere up north of them, and he came down. And take in mind, all this is in the state of Maine. And so he invites all these different YouTubers over, which Lapavoni Mac and Lucky7 don't really have to do much with this, but it's mostly Mud King, Mower Outlaw, Redneck Computer Geek is mostly who it's about. So he invites mainly those three people down to go on romps, and they're still sitting at a landslide of a difference of subscribers, views, and stuff like that. And that's the reason I say that it seems like Fearlessfront is milking all the other YouTubers. He's inviting them down to get their footage of him, and maybe some of the footage that Fearlessfront shot of them, and just add a little bit of that in. But most of his videos are, of course, about Fearlessfront himself. So he has all these other YouTubers come in, romp with him, but he has them always be, or most of the time, be holding the camera. He never really uses any of the footage about them. It's only about him. And he I don't know exactly how many subscribers he has. I can check really quick. But I know it's in the hundreds of thousands. And all the other YouTubers are maybe, I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm wanting to say Redneck Computer Geek's around like 50, 60,000. I don't know. I haven't checked it in a long time. So I'm going to go to Fearlessfront. So Fearlessfront has 289,000 subscribers. So basically 290,000 subscribers. Then you go to Redneck Computer Geek. And if I can spell, Computer Geek. Alright. Now, Redneck Computer Geek has 87,000 or 87.9 thousand. So basically 88,000. And he's been on a couple of Fearlessfront's mud runs. Look at that difference. That is almost, give or take, about 2,000 off a 200,000 subscriber difference. Seems kind of funny. And this video is going to sound a lot like his, and I know I said I was going to start the video off talking about the Murray, but I really want to talk about this. So that's almost a 200,000 subscriber difference. Even though Fearlessfront said he was going to tell his viewers to go look at their channels and watch some of their stuff. That doesn't mean they have to, but I personally think Redneck Computer Geek he uploads a lot more often, he does updates on stuff a lot more often, he just does everything on a more consistent basis. The Fearlessfront's MST205 transaxle inspection that he did like a few months ago, before that he hadn't uploaded in forever. Like it seems like Fearlessfront uploads in waves. Like you've got a wave of maybe 2 or 3 videos consistently, and then after that you've just got like 8 or 9 months of wait time before he does another wave of 2 or 3, 4 or 5 videos. I'm not saying that's what it is all the time, but it seems like that's pretty consistent with that. I think it was Mud King. It was either Mud King or Mower Outlaw does a lot of videos with Fearlessfront. I know Mud King has kind of stopped and slowed down. I think it's just because of his day job. I think he's a trucker. He used to be in the Navy, I think, and he's a trucker now, or last time I saw he was a trucker. So he has a lot on his plate, so he's not in many of their videos. But Mower Outlaw is almost in, he's maybe in like 70, 75, 80% of Fearlessfront's videos. But whenever Fearlessfront had started, I don't have the exact numbers, but I do know that Mower Outlaw had maybe 2,000 to 4,000 subscribers, and Fearlessfront had like 80,000. I don't know exactly. I'm just putting out numbers that I vaguely remember. So, like I said, I'm not trying to pick sides, but it just seems a little funny to me, that subscriber difference, which just because Fearlessfront says to go subscribe to him doesn't mean you have to. I don't do it a lot of the time. If I like one channel and they say subscribe to another channel, I go check out that other channel, I watch maybe a few of their videos, and I don't like them, I don't subscribe, because I don't want any more notifications than I already do. So I'm not going to subscribe. But they post a lot of similar stuff. Like Mower Outlaw especially posts a lot of the same stuff that Fearlessfront does. Engine swaps, pulley swaps, how to build this, how to do that. he does a lot of the same stuff, yet there's a landslide of a subscriber difference. So I'm done with that. I just wanted to put that out there. I'll I'll try to remember to put all those guys in the description. One last time, it is Mud King, Mower Outlaw, Fearlessfront, Redneck Computer Geek, La Pavoni Mac, Lucky 7, I think it's Lucky 7 Mowers, and I think that's about it. Or at least all of them that I know of. I don't know of any more off the top of my head. But anyways, on to what I was originally going to do. I have 20, yes, 20 different things I want to do to this. First thing I want to do is I want to put a 6-inch pulley on the crankshaft. So I'm hoping with doing that, this thing will go around about 20 miles an hour, 18, 19. I don't have that big of tires on here, so there's going to be like a couple mile an hour difference. But let me kind of redo the intro a little bit. I just wanted to get that main part out of the way. This is probably going to be an uncut video, just because, one, I don't really have the time to edit right now. I'm trying to put out a lot more videos, a lot more consistently. I do want the quality to be better, but I kind of want this to be a me to you guys kind of video, so it's probably going to stay uncut. But anyways, I don't know why I threw my phone back up here, because I got to get it back. I am not going for a Fearlessfront build. I was originally, but after watching Redneck Computer Geek's video about what I just talked about, I'm not really with Fearlessfront as much as I used to be. I'm not picking sides or anything, but I'm just kind of iffy about him. I will still get a lot of my ideas from him, like my fender flares, my T-handle shifter, my hand-controlled brakes. Now here's another thing, the Lincoln locker. Redneck Computer Geek talked about this too. I am going to do a Lincoln locker. Not because Fearlessfront did it, I'm just doing it because it's a good idea. For an off-road mower, you want your back wheels to be running posi all the time. Which posi means that they're both turning, positive traction. Posi. So a lot of these things I'm not doing just because Fearlessfront did it. I'm doing it because it's a good idea. I did this because it's a good idea. It's a lot more comfortable of a shifter. And I want to be able to push in my clutch and roll. I also want to be able to push in my clutch and change gears without the brakes making me come to a stop. So this was just a good kind of comfort idea. I'm not doing it because Fearlessfront did it. I might have said in some of my other videos that Fearlessfront did it as well, but I didn't do it just because he did. This, once I get the thing going fast enough, and once I get good tires on here, I'm going to need these so I don't come out 50% earth by the time I'm done with a romp video or something. The fenders. Fearlessfront didn't do that. That's an original idea for me. Aluminum, checkered aluminum, or checkered rolled aluminum, diamond plate aluminum, whatever you want to call it. Fenders. They just bolt right onto the hood. You can't see them because they're behind my fat body. But aluminum fenders. I did get my paint idea from Fearlessfront. I'm not doing it because he did it. I'm doing it because it's a good idea and it looks good. But I'm going to be painting this stuff right here, the black console, these, and my frame, and my rack, which I'm going to be redoing my rack. I'm going to be painting those black. And my fenders, I'm going to be painting those black. Everything that you see here that's red, the hood, the chassis, all that, that's going to be forest green. Excuse me. Same idea as the Sears diesel that he has, but it looks good. And I'm going to be taking this thing off to where we hunt a lot of the time. So I'm going to be painting it. black and green. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So a 6-inch pulley on the front made me go around about 20 miles an hour. A belly pan, or belly pan slash skid plate, whatever you want to call it, for keeping twigs and stuff out of my pulleys. Trail wolves on the back, X-tracks on the front. A bumper with attachable and detachable weights. Flathead motor. LED headlights, LED light bar. Rewire. I don't know why I'm numbering these things. I'm off. Rewire it for a push button start. I did kind of get that from Fearlessfront. I also got it from Sprocket's Garage, Doc Sprocket. It's just a lot. It's a better of an idea because you don't have to worry about kill switches. You don't have to worry about this or that. It's just a straight and forward flip it on and push start. People have been doing that for years. Old like Ford, I think it was the Ford 2N and 8N tractors had push button starts. A back bumper, a new ATV rack, not like this, not like that big hunk of crap sitting on the back. A new winch. I'm probably going to be going for like 1,000 to 1,500 pound winch. I want to fabricate a gas pedal to put on here. Get an air filter and fuel filter because those things need to be replaced. They're stock filters. The oil filter, actually, I got out of its original Briggs & Stratton box. Whenever I got the engine, I looked at my grandpa's like shop, and I looked on the wall, and there was an original Briggs & Stratton oil filter just hanging on the wall. So I went ahead and replaced that when I got the motor. So get an air and fuel filter, build a double clutch so that I get better belt traction, so I get better belt traction, and I also reduce my risk of slippage on my belt. I want to paint it forest green and black. I want to lock the differential. I really need to be doing that pretty soon. I want to redo my brakes because my brakes aren't really working. It takes, from going 5th gear full throttle to pushing in clutch and holding in brakes, it takes me a good 5-6 feet to come to a stop. So gravity and friction is actually better brakes than what I have on here. I'm thinking about welding the front end solid. I got one of my ideas from, here's the two guys that I got my ideas from, for my front. Fearlessfront just welded his front solid. He welded the axle to the frame, I think. He hasn't done a video on it. Doc Sprocket took and drilled a hole through his axle, and then he welded a bent metal tab onto the frame that had a hole that lined up with the rest of the axle. And then he just puts a linch pin through there. And then that locks his front end for doing like fast dirt road kind of drag races and stuff like that. See what else I gotta do. I'm gonna redo my brakes, maybe weld the front end solid, and last but not least, I want to make an adjustable tensioner pulley. I already have a self-adjusting tensioner pulley, and all it is just a pulley mounted on an arm. That arm is bolted to the frame, and then the arm has 3 different holes on it. One hole, a bolt goes through and it bolts it to the frame. The other hole, the pulley mounts onto. Then there's a third hole that the spring goes through and then hooks onto my frame. So the tensioner pulley really isn't there for tension because this belt is already tight. Like it's like an inch too short. We were just barely able to fit it on there. So we really didn't need a tensioner pulley. My clutch doesn't fully work all the time. But we needed it because because we put a smaller pulley on the back than what was stock, the belt was rubbing up against my shifter linkage that goes down into my transaxle. So it wasn't it wasn't out of wanting it, it was out of needing it. So that was that. I really think that's about it. There's really nothing else. I mean, I'm kind of running low on battery, so I can't really talk about much without running the risk of it cutting off in the middle of me talking. But I'll talk a little bit about the ATV rack. I want to do a bolt-on ATV rack, which that one already is bolt-on, but I want to make a smaller one. That big honking thing, I don't like it. So I'm going to be taking off these. So there's just going to be a random hole in the side of my chassis. I'll get over it. I want to make like 3 bolts here on this side and 3 bolts in symmetrical positions on the other side, and then have it come back and then have a diagonal support, kind of like this, coming off the back of it and bolting onto the frame. That way I can put a considerable amount of weight on the back and it'll still hold up fine. I'm not going to use it as a tow position, because I am going to be putting a front bumper on there, or a back bumper on there as well. So that's going to be what I tow from. But until I get a back bumper done, it will work as a tow position, just not a very safe one. But that's about it for now. I have 21 ideas. Put a guard here just to keep sticks and stuff from hitting my feet. That, and also where I'm going to be riding this. We went up to where I'm going to be riding this, which is up in Auburntown, Tennessee. I'm kind of close to Mount Vernon, but it's near Auburntown, Tennessee. And there are tons. Like yesterday we went up there, we saw an eastern wood scorpion and a rattlesnake. Or a timber rattlesnake, or we call them timber rattlers. And so if I put these guards here, if I'm driving past one and one decides to jump up and strike at me, he's just going to hit that mesh and not the side of my foot, and I will have more than 2 hours to live. Because I think you only have like 2 or 3 hours to live after you get bit by one of those guys. So that'll increase not only just comfort, but it'll also increase my risks of living every time I go up there. I don't really have enough battery, but I'll tell a short story. My brother was up there. It was me, my dad, and my brother. And my brother was on the tractor. We were up there bush hogging. And then I was driving the four-wheeler. We were putting out salt licks and bush hogging. He was driving on one of the trails, and he noticed a timber rattler off to his side. He didn't think anything about it, because he thought it was just going to curl up and start rattling and let him drive by. No. My brother got close enough, and that rattlesnake reacted. He thought he was in danger. So that rattlesnake reacted and jumped up at my brother. And that's the reason I want these, is because he jumped up at my brother. And picture this as the tractor, and you've got your running boards here. There is 2 scratches here and here, where the fangs hit the running board of the tractor and scrape the paint off. Alright. I'm fine with wasps, but not whenever they get up in my face. So yeah, I think that'll wrap it up. Talked a little bit about everything today, what I'm going to do, and Fearlessfront and all those guys. I'll link them in the description. Go check them out. I don't really care. They're just good guys. I watch them all the time. I get some of my ideas from them. Fearlessfront did this guard as well, just to keep sticks and stuff off of him, because he lives in Maine, so there's not really any rattlesnakes. But I live in Tennessee, and there are a ton of timber rattler snakes. We call them timber rattlers. You can just call them timber rattlesnakes. But I guess that'll wrap it up for today. Y'all like my Phoenix hat? I've got two hats I can wear. I got Phoenix, my bright hunter orange Phoenix hat, and I've got my camouflage Coon and Son Steel Fabrication Incorporated hat, or my family business. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed. Think whatever you want to think about what I said in the beginning of the video, but I'm trying to stay neutral, so you guys have you a good day.